जय प्रभुपाद, जय जय प्रभुपाद, जय जय प्रभुपाद। सावधाना माते बंदो मोए, बंदो मोए सावधाना माते, बंदो मोए सावधाना जहरा प्रसादे भाई ए भवतोरिया जाय, जहरा प्रसादे भाई ए भवतोरिया जा, कृष्णा प्राप्ति हो जा आते, कृष्णा प्राप्ति हो आते, गुरुमुखा पद्मावाक्य चिते ते कोरिया क्या, गुरुमुखा पद्मावाक्य चिते कोरिया क्या, आरना कोरी हो माने आशा, आरना कोरी हो माने, श्री गुरु चरणे रति ऐसे उत्तमा गति, श्री गुरु चरणे ऐसे उत्तमा गति, जे प्रसादे पूरे सर्व आशा, जे प्रसादे पूरे सर्व आशा, जे प्रसादे पूरे सर्व आशा, पूरे सर्व आशा, चक्षुदान दिलो जे जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से, चक्षुदान दिलो जे जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से, चक्षुदान दिलो जे जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से, जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से, दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशितो, दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशितो, दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशितो, प्रेमा भक्ति जहा होते अविद्या विनाश जाते, प्रेमा भक्ति जहा होते अविद्या विनाश जाते, जहाते वेदे गाय जहार चरितो वेदे गाय जहार चरितो वेदे गाय जहार चरितो वेदे गाय जहार चरितो श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु आधमा जनार बंधु श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु आधमा जनार बंधु लोकनाथ लोकेरा जीवाना लोकनाथ लोकेरा जीवाना हा हा प्रभु कोरो दोया देहो मोरे पाद छाया हा हा प्रभु कोरो दोया देहो मोरे पाद छाया एवे जाश त्रिभुवाना एवे जाश त्रिभुवाना श्रीला प्रभुपाद पतित पावना प्रभुपाद पतित पावना जया प्रभुपादा 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 श्रीला प्रभुपादा नमः विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमः विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवासादि गौरा भक्तवृंद श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवासादि गौरा भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Guru Puja Ki Jai Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Stotra Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Stotra Sata Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Shamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Mathura Dham Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Mayapur Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Ganga Maya Yamuna Maya Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai Samveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande All glories to the assembled devotees All glories to the assembled devotees All glories to the assembled devotees all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only by which we can attain pure devotional service. I bow down to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is a perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord birth after birth. From him ecstatic prema emanates, by him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sings of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, friend of the poor and Lord and master of the devotees. O Master, please be merciful unto us. Give us a shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread all over the three worlds. We take shelter at your lotus feet. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. So we can now proceed to offer puja to Tulsi Maharani. And we offer this puja not to some random plant, but Srimati Tulsi Devi represents Bhakti Devi, or the giver of devotional service. And so by doing puja to her, we beg for her permission to perform devotional service. Vrindaye Tulsi Devyai Priyai Keshavasya Cha Vishnu Bhakti Padadevi Satyavachai Namo Namah.
Vrindaye Tulsi Devyai Priyai Keshavasya Cha Bhakti Padadevi Satyavate Namo Namah. Vrindaye Tulsi Devyai Priyai Keshavasya Cha Vishnu Bhakti Padadevi Satyavate Namo Namah. Tulsi Devi Maharani Ki Jai. Nama Namaha Tulasi Krishna Preyasi Namo Namaha. Radha Krishna Seva Pavo E Abhilasi. ये तुम्हारा शरणालो तारा वांछा पूर्ण हो कृपा करे करो तारे वृंदावन वासी मोर है अभिलाष विलास कुंज दियवास नायने हिर्वोसारा जुगला रूपरासी दिवे दानादारो सखियानुगता करो सेवारे कर दिए करोने जदासी दीना कृष्ण दासी को ये जिना मोरा हो श्री राधा गोविंद प्रेमे सरये नवासी श्री राधा गोविंद प्रेमे सरये नवासी यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्तरिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ते परीक्षणा परे परे यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्तरिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ते परीक्षणा परे परे यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्तरिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ते परीक्षणा परे परे Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi, Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi. Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani. Tulsi Devi Maharani ki jai. Vrindaye Tulsi Devi aye priyaye Keshavascha. Vishnu Bhakti Pare Devi Satyavate Namo Namaha. Vrindaye Tulsi Devi aye priyaye Keshavascha. Vishnu Bhakti Pare Devi Satyavate Namo Namaha. Vrindaye Tulsi Devi aye priyaye Keshavascha. Vishnu Bhakti Pare Devi Satyavate Namo Namaha. Tulsi Devi Maharani ki jai. O Tulsi, beloved of Krishna, I bow down before you again and again. My desire is to obtain the service of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. Whoever takes shelter of you has his wishes fulfilled. Bestowing your mercy upon him, you make him a resident of Sri Vrindavan. My desire is that you also grant me the resident in the pleasure groves of Sri Vrindavan. Thus, within my vision, I will always behold the beautiful pastimes of Radha and Krishna. I beg you to make me the follower of the Kawal damsels of Braj. Please give me the privilege of devotional service and make me your own maid servant. This very fallen and lowly servant of Krishna prays, may I always swim in the love of Sri Radha and Govinda. Tulsi Devi Maharani ki jai.
very exact same thing. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna. Everybody, we can chant together. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, on behalf of our Lordship and Srila Prabhupada, Shri Paramakaranta Gaur Chanjan Srila Prabhupada, we'd like to welcome everybody this morning to Srila Prabhupada's Sunday Love Feast. It's very nice to have all of you with us. We'll continue now with some kirtan, some Hare Krishna kirtan, and after we will have a discourse. So we kindly ask that everybody kindly join us when we're chanting. You can join us by clapping your hands and also by chanting with us on the chorus. So we'll do some quick invocation prayers and then we'll continue with kirtan. Om Jnanatimirannasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sapadhantikam Vandeyaham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadhaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Shra He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Shri Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Deve Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubheva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Nama Hare Nama Eva Kevalam Kalo Nasteva Nasteva Gatiranyata Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, those of you who feel comfortable, their mats, yoga mats are here in front. So if the chair is too hard for you to sit on, you can sit on the soft mats that are on the floor here. And if you feel inclined, and also the good thing about sitting in front is that you don't miss anything that goes on in the program. Sometimes when you're at the back, you know, your friends or, you know, your person who's sitting next to you might want to, you know, especially if you haven't seen them for a good time now, they'll want to get off with you, they'll want to tell you something. But when you come and sit in front, you don't get such distractions. So, you know, I'm just letting you know so you can choose.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
So, while we are indoors in mandirs, when we gather, the purpose of that satsang is usually to congregate and to chant the names of the Lord, to glorify the Lord, right? So, in places like this, we take advantage of that situation. When the Lord's name is being chanted, when we're glorifying the Lord, we take advantage of this situation because when we are home, there's so many other distractions. But when we are here, all that we need to do, or all that we have to do, is glorify the Lord. Right? So, the way in which we would chant usually is that first, the person leading will sing, and then all of you would chorus together. Right? Although we're sitting on a stage, it's not a performance. It's just so that you wouldn't miss what's happening here, so that you wouldn't have to strain your neck anywhere to see what's happening. Okay? So you guys will chorus just after me. Yeah? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everybody together.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama Hare Hare Hare
Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama please raise your hands and chant loudly together. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hari Naam Sankirtan Yajna ki.
Hare Krishna. So we're doing one short bhajan as usual, Jayavara Madhava. So everyone can join us in chanting and clapping. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari.
Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana.
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 Yamuna Tiravana Chari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tiravana Chari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Radha Madhava, Radha Madhava, Shri Radhe.
Jaya Radha Madhava, Radha Madhava, Shri Radhe.
Jaya Paramakaruna, Jaya Nitai Gaura Chandra, Jaya Paramakaruna, Jaya Nitai Gaura Chandra.
Jaya Paramakaruna Nitai Gaura Chandra, Paramakaruna Nitai Gaura Chandra.
Jaya Sitaram, Jaya Sitaram, Sitaram, Jaya Sitaram.
Jaya Sitaram, 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 Jaya Sitaram.
Jaya Raghavam, 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 Jaya Raghavam.
Jaya Raghavam, 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 Jaya Raghavam.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada.
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol.
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol,
Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. So we want to welcome you once again to this beautiful Sunday morning here at Hare Krishna Study Center for our Sunday Love Feast program. So is there anyone coming for the first time? Can you please show by raising hands? So quite a few persons are coming. So welcome here to the Hare Krishna Temple, at UG Road, Commons Lodge. And we hope that your experience here this morning will be a very memorable one that you will feel inclined to come always. Do you agree? I'm not even giving you the chance to say sometimes or whenever I can make it. I'm saying that, your experience this morning should be one of such that you'll want to come always. So today's program will be a continued extended observance, celebration of Sri Ram Navami, the most glorious appearance of Lord Ramachandra. So as you all would remember, Thursday last we celebrated Ram Navami festival. We had a midday program here, and I'm sure for those of you who couldn't make it here, I'm sure you, wherever you are, be it at your work or if you had some time off, you probably would have went to the mandir in the afternoon. So this morning program will be no different. We'll be having some Ramayan Katha shortly. So we should all be very anxious. Whenever we get this opportunity, we should be very anxious in the sense that be anxious to hear about the glories, to hear about the pastimes of the Supreme Lord, Lord Krishna, Lord Ramachandra. Why it is said like that? Because if you think about it, we are all living our lives and we don't know one thing. We know a lot of things in our lives, but one thing I can guarantee you for sure that you don't know, I don't know also, is when we will leave this world. Right? So that's why when we've been in satsang, it's a good opportunity to chant, it's a good opportunity to pray, it's a good opportunity to hear. So if we use our time like that, then we know for sure that the Lord will be present with us always. The Lord's protection, the Lord's blessings will be there with us. Not only today is Sunday, just the beginning of the week, but for the rest of the week. Right? I'm telling you, for the rest of the week. So when you come next week, you will charge up your batteries once again. Just like when your phone battery goes down. Does anyone need to tell us when to put it to charge? No. The smartphone tells us when he needs charging. We don't need to, nobody needs to tell us. So similarly, our lives needs something called spirituality or spiritual charge. Not electrical charge. You need spiritual charge. And when we go to the satsangs, to the mandir, to the programs, that's what we get there. So this morning I will begin by just offering a few prayers. I will share a few thoughts or stories on the Ramayana. Maybe not directly that is within Ramayana, but it'll be very nice for us. And then after myself, we'll be hearing from His Grace Hari Kirtan Prabhu. So together we can join in prayers. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shanyavari Pashachari Shatarini. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So you can all please repeat. Ramaya Rama Bhadraya Ramachandraya Virase Raghunataya Nataya Sitaya Pate Namaha. Ramaya Rama Bhadraya Ramachandraya Virase Raghunataya Nataya Sitaya Pate Namaha. Ramaya Rama Bhadraya Ramachandraya Virase Raghunataya Nataya Sitaya Pate Namaha. Hare Krishna. So, the Ramayana, as you know, the Ramayana is not something new to us, because for many of us, if not all of us, throughout our lives, we have been hearing many different katha, many different stories from Ramayana. Lord Ramachandra, his brothers, Mother Sita, King Dashrath, these are the main characters in the Ramayana. And of course the author, Valmiki, the first author of Ramayana, Valmiki Muni. So he compiled Ramayana, the Ramayana that is available to us. Ramayana originally was 24,000 verses, and it is divided in different sections, like, Bal, Kan. Kan means a section, basically. There are like 6 to 7 sections, Bal, Kan, Ayodhya, Kan, Sundar, Kan, like that. So I would like to share one story, which is a story not from the Ramayana, but is a story that occurred in real life some time ago, many years ago. And this story is titled how a British person, he was at that time. So this incident occurred since India was under British rule. So just like how Guyana was under British rule at some point in time, India was under British rule, for some time, like about 75 years ago. That was when it came to an end. That's in India. So there was a British man by the name of Colonel Lionel Blaze, right? And at that time, he was the collector in one place in South India. So I'm sure there are many Prabhus, there are many persons, maybe a few persons here who are from South India. If you are from South India, can you please raise your hands? South India. Okay, thank you, Prabhus and Matajis. So, there is one place in South India, and you can correct me if I am wrong, by the name of Chengalput. That's the name, Chengalput, or Chengalpatra. You can correct me. So the name of the place, in that place, this collector, Mr. Blaze, he was visiting there, and it was a time when it was during monsoon rainy season, basically. And in that place, there is a huge lake. So this lake is like 13 square miles. That's how wide it is. A lake having a water, and in that place, that's like, what is this lake? It is like what we in Guyana here known to be the Water Conservancy, East Demerara Water Conservancy. What you will say, Lama. Some people say Lama, Maduri, and Water Conservancy. Those are the names in Guyana. So in that place, there is one conservancy. They call it tank, or other names. Like it's like a tank. It's like a reservoir of water, and from that now, they draw water and they irrigate other places. So within the period of 1995 to 1999, this Mr. Blaze, Colonel Lionel Blaze, was he was responsible for that area. And there came a time when rain was falling so intensely that, and it happens here also, and Uncle Kewal is here. You can tell us, you from Mahika Creek, right? You can tell us when a lot of rainfall happens and raise the water level in Lama, what happens? They will slack it through Mahika Creek or Hope Canal, whatever it is. But there wasn't any hope for Mahika Creek there. But what was happening, the boundaries, or you will say the canal dams, right? The canal dams of this place at different parts, it was starting to break loose because water increasing because of intense rainfall. Naturally, different parts of the dam will start to give away. or the water will even start to flow over at some point in time. So, Lionel Blaze, he was thinking that, he responsible for that area. And, India, in a village, it's not like Guyana. In Guyana, you can walk throughout the whole Guyana and you can do your census. And, if you're lucky to get 850,000 people as the population, that's a big number. But in India, if you go to one village, you probably have like 2 million people, right? So it's not ordinary population. And what had happened is that he was very concerned because, just imagine if this conservancy break loose, it will flood that entire area and even surrounding villages. And it will be a havoc in that part of South India. So he was thinking now, this is emergency that he need to do something about it. He cannot just left the people like that and go back to England. So he was camping out there and rain was falling, and he just saw next to a Ram temple, a Lord Ram temple, there was a huge heap of granite stones, granite rocks. We use it out here to build a seawall. So if you never think that, we have granite in Guyana, it means that we never walk the seawall. Because actually the granites are the one that breaks the waves and protect us. All of us don't think we are safe. We're only living 7 feet below sea level. And I'm telling you this story because all of us can make this connection with this story afterwards, and you will see how. So, Mr. Blaze, he saw these granite bricks, and he was thinking that why we can take these bricks and put it on the dam to help hold it up. To help the dam, the canal dams, to kind of prop it up and so it wouldn't break loose. So as he thought about that, and he had his assistants there, one of the priests from the Ram Mandir came over to meet with him and asked him, what is happening? What are you thinking? And then he told this priest that, I want to use these granite stones to build the canal dams over there. And then the priest said, no, that, we have amassed these stones. We have, heaped these stones here to build what is called Janakar Vali Tayar. Basically, the priest was telling him that they want to build a mandir for Mother Sita because there's already a Ram temple existing. What is the name? Janaki Mandir. Thank you. So you see? So they wanted to build this mandir, and that's why they had kept the stones there. So this colonel, this Mr. Blaze, he asked the priest that, why do you want to waste these stones to build a temple? Or already you have a temple here. Why you want to build more temples? Why you want to build more shrines? Right now, this conservancy, this tank is emergency because if the rain continues to fall and we don't do anything here, what will happen? It will flood the entire place. So then this priest was telling him that, Lord Ram, he built a bridge that crossed from India to Sri Lanka, to Lanka. And, Lord Ram is our God, and Lord Ram is very powerful. And if you pray to him within your heart, if you pray to him sincerely, he can help us solve this problem once and for all, that we don't have to be fearful of the dams breaking loose. So, so the colonel asked him a question that, every year the rain falls here, and most of the times the place is flooded. Why don't your Lord Ram come and protect? If he's the person you have all faith in, why doesn't he come at once and, help us here and protect? So like this, Mr. Blaze was, questioning the priest. So that day came to an end. It was night now, it was evening. And, he was thinking it was going through himself, when you're in such a situation, when you're in such a predicament, where you don't know what will happen next. So he was thinking he couldn't even sleep. So the next day, the priest, who is a very elderly man, these priests or the pandits who will serve the Lord in the temples, they are doing that from not their lifetimes only. Their ancestors have been doing it one generation after the next. That's how it is. If you are a pujari or if you are a priest in India, it means that 50th generation back, they were priests and pujaris also, and you are just continuing their footsteps. So this old man came up to him, Mr. Blaze, once again and told him the next day in the afternoon that, I think if you pray to Lord Ram, and I know that you're a Christian, I also know that you don't have any faith in Lord Ram, but if you pray to him, because you are the governor of this region, if you pray to him, then certainly, Lord Ram will reciprocate with you. So he didn't argue, Mr. Blaze, he didn't argue, but he was just thinking about what this priest was telling him. So the night came and very intense rain was falling. Rain was falling so hard that the rain actually woke him up. And when he woke up, whatever this priest told him was kind of going through his mind. He couldn't have, get rid of that thought. And, what he did, he actually stood up, like on his knees. He actually stood like this on his knees, right? So it might be surprising, but he actually did that. He went on his knees and he folded his palms and he was praying to Lord Ram. My dear Lord Ram, I don't have any faith in you. I don't know you. But you have many followers here. All these people, they have strong faith in you. They are your worshippers. They honor you as God. Now, my dear Lord, please protect this tank. Protect the dams that it don't break loose. Because if it breaks loose, it'll be a disaster here. And your servant, your priest, your pujari, he also told me that, you are so powerful that you built a bridge with rocks, with stones, across the Indian Ocean, and that bridge actually floated. So if you can do like that, then please help us over here. And as he said like that, and he closed his eyes and he prayed, when he opened his eyes, to his surprise, it was not an ordinary incident. He saw two personalities standing in front of him, and these two personalities are carrying a bow and arrow. A quiver with arrows and a bow on their shoulders, and they're looking at him. And when he saw this personality, it's like he could not say anything for some time. And happened so he actually fainted. He fainted, and these men who were there, his guards or whoever were around, they noticed this, and they were actually wondering what is happening. Rain is falling very intensely. As soon will be morning, place will come, get bright, but the rain is falling very heavy. And it took quite some time, maybe like a half an hour, for him to really come back to his consciousness, and they were trying to help him out. And when he kind of come back to the normal, the rain actually held up. The rain stopped, right? The rain stopped. And when they went over there, they went and checked that, rain fell so intensely throughout the night. And there were no signs of the water rising. There were no threats on the dams. There wasn't anything like that. It was like normal, like other times. The water was just like normal level. The dams were not leaking anything. So then these citizens, these residents, these villagers, he told this incident actually, what had happened. And there and then he became convinced that, that Lord Ram is actually for real, and Lord Ram is actually with these villagers, with these citizens. And you know what he did? He didn't leave that place. What he did, he took upon himself the project of building the Janaki Mandir, of building this temple for Mother Sita. Imagine a British man coming to India And that's why Prabhupada would say that when Srila Prabhupada, our founder Acharya, he said that when the British, they came to India, they took, they think that they took everything from India. But one thing they did not carry with them is religion, the Dharma, right, of India. The wealth of Dharma that India has, they did not carry that. And that's why Swami Prabhupada, when he went to England, he was on an interview, and he told the reporters that I have brought to give to England and Europe what they have forgotten, and that is Dharma, true religion. So coming back to the story, that he felt so obliged to Lord Ram, and he was so inspired that Lord Ram, because of him, that this dam did not break loose, that a disaster did not happen in this place, that he built that temple. And also, if you go up to today, if you visit the mandir, you will see that his name, Colonel Lionel Blaze, is one of the benefactor or one of the founding member of that temple. How amazing that you can see that. And this happened in the year 1798. This exact story happened in the year 1798, not too long ago. But just see, the Ramayana, this epic would have occurred since in Treta Yuga. And we're not talking about like this last Treta Yuga. We cannot verify it was this last Treta Yuga, but the point is, it's millions and billions of years since Lord Ram came to this planet, came to Bhumi Mata, came to Earth, came to India, came to Ayodhya. But we can clearly identify, we can clearly see that Lord Ram is still present. And one of the most prominent ways how he is present today, there are so many Ram Mandirs, and even this year, I think the famous Ram Mandir in Ayodhya is going to open this year. So we're not sure, but there's a huge, massive Ram Mandir that is being built in Ayodhya right now, and we're hoping that that's going to be finished. The proposed date was supposed to be this year, but I will tell you what, and just see how Lord Ram's mercy is spreading all over the world. Do you know that this same place in Ayodhya, now they're going to build an airport there, right? And recently we saw that the engineers, the structural engineers of that airport, they're designing the top of the airport. They're using the designs of the Ram Mandir tops to build the roofs of that airport, right? So to want to preserve the kind of architectural designs in Ayodhya, and also naturally when you see that airport, also to help you to remind you of Lord Ramachandra. So these are just few instances to show how Lord Ram is very merciful, and one of the prominent ways that we can connect with Lord Ram is through his name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Ramachandra ki jai. Hare Krishna. So I'd like to invite Hari Kirtan to please inspire us. He has a lot more to share with us, and over to him.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. A little bit louder, please. Hare Krishna. Jai Sitaram ki. So Sachisuta Prabhu wonderfully shared a modern day story, maybe a closer story than the pastime of Lord Ramachandra. Because many times we feel that Ramayana happened so long ago, or if it did happen in the first place. Right? Did it really happen? Like, oh my God, these things are so fantastic. Like you hear some stories in Ramayana and you think, oh, that can't be real. It definitely can't be real. It's just a bunch of myths. And like that, there are so many doubts in people's minds of the factuality or the reality of Ramayana. But Ramayana is actually history. It's not myth. Ramayana actually is called Itihas. Right? Itihas means that it was relevant in years before, in the past. It is relevant today, and it will continue to be relevant in the future. And so this great book, Ramayana, or this great epic, Ramayana, is an amazing piece of, let's leave out the part of it being a spiritual literature, it's an amazing piece of art. Right? Valmiki Muni put a lot into Ramayana. And even if we have no faith in Lord Ram being God or whatever it is, we can read Ramayana and enjoy it as just a novel. And not only just as a novel, it will teach us many life lessons that we can apply today. So before I begin glorifying the Sri Ramayana and maybe one story, hopefully we have enough time for the story. But before I begin, I'd humbly beg the blessings of everyone here, that I may be able to speak something in glorification of the Lord, even though I am not the one who is supposed to be qualified to speak of these topics. The topics of Sri Ramachandra are extremely exalted and amazing, and only someone who has had personal experience or personal realizations can present these things nicely. And therefore, I humbly beg each and every one of you to please listen to persons or great personalities like Radhanath Maharaj. There's a wonderful Ramayana series that he does, narrating the story of Lord Ramachandra. I can give that to you if you like. And there's also many presentations done by Shubha Vilas Prabhu, who wrote this wonderful book, Ramayana, the Game of Life. Many times we feel Ramayana is written in Sanskrit and so many translations and voices, oh my God, I don't want to get into it. But he wrote it in really nice modern day language for a teenage audience. So I assure you, it will be very nice if you can read it. So if you like, I can provide you the link to purchase the book as well. And His Grace Prabhupada Prabhu has been so merciful on us that he has ordered several of these books and other books written by Shubha Vilas Prabhu and our present-day devotees, and they're coming soon. Right? I'm doing marketing before they come. But anyways, so this book, Ramayana, or this pastime, this history of Ramayana, I'll leave it to you to be the judge if it actually happened or not. In the Ramayana, it is stated how Lord Ramachandra ruled the entire world for at least 10,000 years. At least, right? Minimum 10,000 years. It's more, I can't remember the exact figure, but at least I can say 10,000 years. If someone rules a place for 10,000 years, do we agree that he has to have an effect on that place? Yes? 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 Yes. Because he ruled for not just like 5 years, 10 years, like this. Like let's say if somebody ruled for 10 years and they were really nice, right? You know, they put up a plaque somewhere and they have his name and his picture probably. And sometimes, let's say like Gandhi, they have statues of Gandhi all over the place for whatever he did. And he did so much for a few years. Lord Ramachandra ruled for minimum 10,000 years. So definitely we should see some effect of his rulership across the world, not just in India, because they say he ruled the entire world. Ramayana, or the presence of Lord Ramachandra, can be felt in each and every corner of our world, even in nearby Brazil. Yes, our nearby Brazil. In Indonesia, in a country called, Indonesia is a group of countries, in a country called Bali, which is quite a popular tourist destination, they do regular cultural performances. This is not anything to do with Hindu religion or anything like this. This is their culture, their island culture. They perform dramatical presentations to welcome foreigners as like a show. And what is it that they perform? They don't know what it is they're performing, but they just think it's a story that, you know, happened in their past. There's the history and all of these things. It's Ramayana. They perform on a daily basis for the past many hundreds of years. Every single afternoon in villages in Bali, they would have cultural presentations around the campfire depicting the pastime of Lord Ramachandra, although they might not know what it is they're depicting. In Japan, there were actually a few individuals who created an animated film, right? The animated Ramayana, not for an Indian or Hindu audience, but for a Japanese audience. They did it like anime, right? Everybody watches, young people watch anime these days, right? So they created this film for a Japanese audience as a children's cartoon on their TV. And if you watch it, you'll see how accurate it is to the actual Ramayana. It's amazing how accurate it is. In Thailand, anyone knows the capital of Thailand? Anybody? Bangkok, right? That's the capital of Thailand. Geographical fact. But before the capital of Thailand was Bangkok, that was only like a few hundred of years ago, or maybe 100 years ago, that it became the capital. Before that, the capital of Thailand was called Ayutthaya. Sounds familiar? And if you don't believe me, you can fact check all of these things. You can check on the internet. It was actually called Ayutthaya. Not only that, the kings that ruled Thailand, their titles were Rama I, Rama II, Rama III, Rama IV, like that. That was their titles. And even beyond that, one of their most sacred books is called the Ramakien. And there's actually an animated film now on the Ramakien. And if you see it, it's exactly the story of Lord Ramachandra in Thailand. There are some researchers, language professors, who have proof, research done, they have like actual proof, to say how Rome, the country of Rome, the name Rome, is actually a phonetic means like language misnomer, like it got lost in translation. Rome is actually a phonetic misnomer for the name Rama. There's research that shows this. In Egypt, it is said by those same scholars that the word Egypt is actually derived from Ajapati. Who's Ajapati? Ajapati is the grandfather of Lord Ramachandra. Not only that, the pharaohs of Egypt, their titles were Ramses, right? R-A-M-S-E-S. And it's actually a short for two words, Rama Isus. It means Rama the God. In Egypt, they worship, so they have like Ramesses I, Ramses II, like that. And they also worship the sun god because they believe in three personalities are prominent in their religious culture. Amun-Ra, Rut, and Khonsu. And if you hear the story of these three individuals, it is the story of Ram being Amun-Ra, Rut being Sita, and Khonsu being Lakshman. It's actually recorded in their history. Not only that, if we show you a picture, probably Satyagopal Prabhu can search, Egypt pharaohs as Vaishnavas, something like that. You might see a picture of a pharaoh on a throne with Vaishnava tilak on his arms and his head. It is actually said that these pharaohs were Vaishnavas, or devotees of Lord Vishnu, because they worshipped Amun-Ra, being Lord Ramachandra. In South Korea, 2,000 years ago, just recently, there was a king called King Suro. King Suro married a princess from Ayodhya. Her name was Suriratna. Suriratna, when she left Ayodhya, took her 3 months to get to South Korea. When she reached there, she brought stones from Ayodhya, right, and built her home there because she missed Ayodhya so much. So there's even influence of Ayodhya even in South Korea. Now this one might be a shocker. There are 247 verified carvings of Lord Ramachandra's pastimes of the Ramayana in Iraq. Right? 247 verified carvings of Ramayana in Iraq. Even in the Ramayana, it is stated, we hear in the Ramayana there are so many like different fun facts, like trivia that you can learn. When Bharat was, and this is the story that we'll be discussing today, the story of Bharat. When Bharat was coming back from his grandfather's place back to Ayodhya, it's described in the Ramayana how he passed through a land of peacocks with gems on their forehead. And if you check the history of Russia, it is usually depicted in their cultural presentations, peacocks with with jewels on their foreheads. And it's even described in the Ramayana how while he was coming back, he had to wear thick woolen clothing because of the snow in the area, and he took an amount of time. And there's a description of the distance he took from his grandfather's place to India, and if you check to Ayodhya, and if you check, it is the distance from Russia to Ayodhya. And these things are verified. You can check it for yourself. Moving on to just the poetic art of the Ramayana. The Ramayana, as Sachisuta Prabhu was saying, is comprised of 24,000 verses. Every 1,000 verses, we know the Gayatri mantra, Om Bhurbhuva Swa Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimhi Yona Prachodayat. We all know this, right? Yes? We have heard the Gayatri mantra before. If you take the first syllable of every 1,000 verses of the Ramayana, you'll get the entire Gayatri mantra. And just think, I'll give you perspective. Just think, now these days, Satyagopal Prabhu has a nice computer. Did you find a picture? Nowadays, Satyagopal Prabhu has a nice computer he's sitting on. Many people type books on the computer. They can scroll up and check back the previous page. Hey, make a mistake down there. Correct them. Or these days, we have Grammarly. Right? Grammarly checks all the mistakes and checks you for plagiarism and all of these things. They didn't have all of that back then. All they had was like a small palm leaf about this size, right? And they would write all of their works on that. Now for Valmiki to have the intellect to remember every 1,000 slokas, he didn't have to scroll through, hey, what was the last one we used? And then scroll through back. He couldn't have used, now they have like fancy mouse. You just scroll like this here. You know, like something you have to scroll steady, your hand like this for the mouse trying to scroll. Now these days they have fancy mouses. You just scroll like this and it keeps spinning by itself for you. Right? He didn't have that back then. But yet still, it was so amazing, his poetic genius. So Ramayana has influence across the world, and besides it having influence across the world, it's an absolute piece of poetic art. Right? So I implore you to please read the Ramayana. The story that we'll be speaking today is an amazing one, and might be a story that is not popularly known to everyone. How many of us here are familiar with Bharat, the brother of Lord Ramachandra? We know this? We know who that Bharat was Lord Ramachandra's brother? Yes? Please show by raising your hands if you know this. So there is not a lot. I believe there are more, but probably some people are just shy to raise their hands. Don't worry, we don't bite people. You can raise your hands and participate. It gives me a little encouragement that, I'm not the only one. You see all the boys, they left me up here. I'm all alone by myself. And then you're so far away also. I feel like, I'm alone on an island out. Like the island they're building in the Demerara River. I feel like I'm out there. Right? So please help me a bit. Otherwise, I get kind of nervous. Ramayana teaches us many things. And among these many things that it teaches us how to face challenges positively. Right? Rama, when he was in this story, we all know the summary of Ramayana. Basically, there's this prince called Rama, born to Dashrath Maharaj, who is the king of the entire world. He got married to this beautiful princess called Sita from Nepal, Mithila. And then he eventually came back, spent a few years. His stepmother, Kaikeyi, asked his father for 2 boons, one of which was that her son would become the king and he would have to go to the forest for 14 years. He goes to the forest for 14 years. During that 14 years, some random guy just comes and kidnaps his wife. Right? He has to walk. He doesn't have GPS, Google Maps to find out, where it is. Then they didn't have AirTag. Apple has this technology, AirTag. They just have like a little device like this. You stick it onto somebody's car and you can track them wherever they go. Sadly, Mother Sita didn't have any AirTags on her. Right? And Lord Ramachandra didn't have iPhone to check where she was. So he had to search by himself, not knowing where she was. He walked from the middle of India down to the tip of India. Right? Built a bridge with the help of monkeys that floats on water. Now you might think, oh my God, look this nonsense. It's by a bridge of rocks float pa water. What kind of nonsense is this? Right? And these Prabhus here are building so nice road. And for us, we can't imagine how it is they're building the road. So just imagine, they can't imagine how Lord Rama built the bridge. It's understandable. And there are GPS maps to show that, GPS things that show that there's Ram Setu there and all of these things. There are various proofs. There is a stone in Ayodhya that they collected that actually floats with the name of Lord Ramachandra engraved on it. All of these things are there. But anyway, he walked across this bridge with a bunch of monkeys. He killed this king. He got back his wife. He came back. He ruled. End of story. Goodbye. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Prasadam time. Right? That's basically Ramayana. And we might think, man, what I got to do with me and the price of cheese today? Or the price of oil I hear is going up. Right? What does that have to do with me? It is not all of these, we can look at many things at face value, but if we look at the details, right, it can teach us a lot. Lord Ramachandra, he was sent out of the kingdom. Now, you put yourself in his shoe. You are told by your father that you're about to become the king of the entire world, the emperor of the world. Right? And everybody wants you to be that king, right? And by morning, you're out on the street like a pauper. Your father and your mother puts you out on the street, and you have nothing. You put yourself in that situation, how would you feel? How Lord Ramachandra deals with this situation is very important. And how to deal with temptations. Bharat, he was given the kingdom, right? The kingdom was taken away from Lord Ramachandra to give to him. And we know how fights. Sometimes these days, one of the biggest issues when people pass away, when parents pass away, is that the siblings, they fight over the land. Right? So many times we see this issue. Yes? We have seen this before? Yes? Yes or no? Okay. Yes. Uncle Jayo says yes. Right? Many times we see this. It's a common occurrence these days. It was easy for Bharat to say, oh, we can become the king, no problem. Right? But he didn't. We'll see how he didn't want to become the king. It's very important. So 2 things we can learn. How to face challenges positively and how to deal with temptations. When Lord Ramachandra entered into the room where Dashrath Maharaj and Mother Kaikeyi were there, and Kaikeyi Mata had already asked for 2 boons, one that Rama be banished for 14 years and Bharat become the king of Ayodhya, Dashrath Maharaj was in absolute distress. Lord Ramachandra was everybody's favorite, not just Dashrath Maharaj. And he was extremely beautiful. You can't help but love him when you see him. When you see him, I'll give you a description of one of the citizens just now, what they say about his beauty. Lord Ramachandra walks in. After Mother Kaikeyi, even Dashrath Maharaj didn't have the courage to tell Ramachandra what had just happened. Kaikeyi tells him with absolute coldness in her heart. It is said that she should have been called the god of death for the coldness that she thundered. She said, the king wants you to go to the forest for 14 years and that Bharat will become the king. My son will become the king. Ram says, this is it? Without any change in his expression, no change in voice. Now you might think this is easy. He could have pretended to do this. It is not easy. Put yourself in his shoe. Imagine you get to know that you're becoming the king, you're absolutely elated. Then when you hear something like this, it is not easy to pretend. Lord Ramachandra had no change in his expression. No change in his voice. He said, this is it. He didn't even have to involve Dashrath Maharaj, Mother Kaikeyi. If this is what you wanted all this time, all you had to do was tell me. I don't have any attachment to the kingdom. I don't have any attachment to wealth. I don't have any attachment. I don't want to ask sympathy from the citizens of Ayodhya to make me the king. No, if you just asked me, I would have gone. Actually, this is my wish, and I thank you for facilitating my wish. I wanted to go to the forest and associate with all of these citizens. Right? So many times in life, negativities can get us muddled up. Like, you know in cartoons when Bugs Bunny falls into, or somebody falls into a pool of mud, or let's say in Home Alone 3, when a lady jump over the fence and she fall face first in the mud, blam, right? And then this pot just came and fell on her head, right? We know this, yes? We're familiar with Home Alone, right? Everybody watch Home Alone? Yes. So many times we end up like that with negative situations. We fall face first inside, and then on top of that, a pot comes and hits us in our head. And it gets worse and worse. We usually say when it rains, it pours. Right? And it's easy to get caught up in this. But Lord Ramachandra, in this situation, teaches us how to be like eagles among a group of crows. What do crows do? Sometimes they call it a murder of crows. A group of crows comes and they try to pounce on an eagle to kill him. What does the eagle do? He doesn't have to do much. All he has to do is fly higher. They can't fly as high as him. So many times when we end up with these situations, instead of getting caught up in the negativities, we focus on the positives, right? Rather than let the positives rise us up and keep the negatives from holding us back and soar high like an eagle. So Rama, after he pays his respect to Dashrath and Kaikeyi, he walks out of the room. When he walks out, Sumantra, who is there, by the way, sometimes there is like criticism of Ramcharitmanas of Ramayana. Oh my God, these people are heavy caste conscious people. That I don't want anything to do with Rama and the Ramayana because it promotes segregation, casteism. This is absolute nonsense. Why? Because Sumantra was actually, if you check by caste, he was a Sudra. He was a low caste. Not only was he a Shudra, he was a charioteer of Dashrath Maharaj. From a charioteer, he got promoted to being the Prime Minister of Ayodhya, and even while he was the Prime Minister of Ayodhya, he was still the charioteer of Dashrath Maharaj. So we can't compare it to Ramayana, so please let's don't judge it as being a book of casteism. Right? Sumantra was there, standing. He was in tears. He knew he didn't have any right to comment on familiar matters, but he knew whatever just happened had a really, really negative effect, will have a negative effect on the kingdom. As the Prime Minister, he was really concerned. But he didn't know what to do. So when Ramachandra walked past him, he just followed him out. As Ramachandra was walking out, there was like a fireball pacing in the corridor, right? Waiting to burn anyone and anything on its path. Who was that? Lakshman. He was so angry, right? But he didn't enter the room because out of respect for his father, and then he also wanted to, show solidarity for his brother. He wanted to be with his brother. He was ready to kill anyone. How dare you take away the right of my big brother? Lord Ramachandra just walks past him. And it said that Lakshman felt as if a cool ocean breeze just blew past him. He was like a red hot piece of coal swept away by a cold ocean. No harm. So he followed Lord Ramachandra with umbrella. So usually kings, they have umbrellas above their heads and usually something to fan them while they walk down. He was going to give this to Lord Ramachandra, and Lord Ramachandra just waved him aside, signaling that he doesn't want these things anymore. So he comes out on the first step of Kaikeyi's palace. And the citizens see him. When the citizens see him, an absolute burst of joy erupts in their heart, the joy that the mother experiences when she sees her newborn. That is the joy one experiences when you see Lord Ramachandra. Lord Ramachandra is so beautiful. It's described that his complexion is that of emerald green with a tinge of gold. And his limbs are soft like butter. His skin is soft like butter. And his skin is like translucent, glowing like the moon. That is why he's called Ramachandra. Lord Ramachandra stands there, absolutely calm and composed. And the crowd observes him, right? And some persons in the crowd say, look, he's more effulgent when he came out of the palace than when he came in. I could have probably described his beauty before he went into the palace. But now I can't describe it. He's even more beautiful. I wonder what happened inside. Another person was like, before he entered, he was like a closed lotus. But now he came out, he's like a fully bloomed lotus. Beautiful. Amazing. Like he's shining even more. That's an unbiased opinion of Ramachandra's mood. You can't pretend, right? He can't pretend. Don't think that he was like sadistic and he was just pretending for sympathy. No, this was his mood. So the citizens were absolutely mesmerized until they saw Lakshman and Sumantra crying besides Lord Ramachandra. Doubt developed in their hearts. Even more so when Lord Ramachandra walked down, he didn't even step foot on the chariot. Kings don't walk, right? And even more so, he didn't walk with slippers. He walked barefoot. This was even more scary to them. He walked to the arena where they were about to coronate him. He paid obeisances to Vashishta Muni, and he circumambulated the paraphernalia or the items that were kept there for coronation, and he just left. This confused everybody. At this point in the Ramayana, Valmiki uses a very interesting word to describe Lord Ramachandra. He says, Sa jagama vanam vira, pratignyam anupalanam. Sa vira. Uses the word Veera to describe Lord Ramachandra. Veera means warrior or courageous. Why is Lord Ramachandra described as courageous? Because it is not easy. Many times it is easy to deal with difficulties, but it's even hard. It's harder to deal with reversals in the form of difficulties. But it's even harder to deal with difficulties in the form of joy. Many times when we experience joy, we get absolutely crazy. And when we experience distress, we get, it's like, right? You come down to earth, right? So it's even harder to deal with joys. Lord Ramachandra dealt with this situation like a warrior, totally calm and composed. Now, Bharat, he leaves for the forest. Dashrath Maharaj is in distress. Bharat is called back to Ayodhya. Actually, we see many times we hear the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, don't be attached to the results, just work without any expectation of results. Work for me. He says, Matra sparshas tu kaunteya shitoshna sukadukada agama payano nityastam tatiksha svavarta. That happiness and distress comes and go like winter and summer seasons, and we must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed, just as you tolerate the seasons. You might say, man, that big word coming from you, you not tolerate nothing, you kill your uncle, you do this, you that, you do this, you do that. Right? And we might say Lord Krishna didn't exemplify what he taught in the Bhagavad Gita. We might try to find fault like this. But he had the right to say whatever he said in Bhagavad Gita because he practiced it as Lord Ramachandra. Everything he taught in Bhagavad Gita was practiced as Lord Ramachandra. Right? And therefore, Bhagavad Gita exemplifies the epitome of Ramayan's teachings. Right? And it is considered a book of balance. Bharat, while he was there in his grandfather's place in Russia, Kekeya, known then, he had nightmares. Something fell off to him. Messengers came, they collected him. I'm like fast forwarding, right? There are many things in between. But they came, they took him, he came back to Ayodhya. When he reached Ayodhya, he turned to his brother, Shatrugna. Is this the same? Are we at the right place? Is this the same Ayodhya? The Ayodhya he knew was gone. There was no one in the streets. Everyone was crying. Whoever he saw turned their backs on him. There were no birds chirping, no sign of any happiness anywhere. It was as if the soul had left the body of Ayodhya. Everyone was in absolute despair. Ayodhya was quiet, pin drop silence. All you could hear was the wailing of everyone in their homes, crying tears because of the separation of Lord Ramachandra. Even more so because they tried to follow him and the Lord left them in the middle of the night. Right? So they never saw when he left. Right? In such pain they were, and hatred for Bharat. How dare he do this to our Ramachandra? We'll kill him. We don't want to be his citizens. Right? They hated Bharat to his last bone. And they wouldn't even look in his direction. Bharat was scared. He went to his father's palace. He didn't see him. So he said, let me go to my mother's palace. He goes to Kaikeyi's palace and he asks, what's going on? What shocked him was his mother's total nonchalantness. Like she didn't care a thing. What does she say? He asks, where is my father? And she says, that place where every animal goes to, one day, your father has gone there also, the abode of death. Bharat had not seen his father for 12 years. After they got married in Mithila, Bharat and Shatrugna left to go to Kaikeya, right? And he didn't see Dashrath Maharaj since then. She tells him, basically, your father has died. But his mother, right? His father's wife tells him like this. Listen to how she said it. I'm not going to repeat it. It's not a nice thing to say. Right? Listen to how she said it. He was shocked. He fell to the ground in utter confusion. He was so confused. He didn't know what to do. And he began lamenting. How fortunate is Dashrath Maharaj to have a son like Lord Ramachandra at his side when he left. And someone like Ramachandra to do his last rites. And he asked his mother, what was his last words? What was father's last words? She says, his last words were, O Ram, O Sita, O Lakshman. Why was he crying like this? Were they not with him? No. Where were they? In the forest. Another blow to his heart. He didn't even know what was going on. 12 years he didn't see his family, right? Now he came back and he can't fathom what exactly is going on. And he says, why? What did he do? Did he kill a Brahmana? This mood of Bharat, right? Finding out what was wrong shows his ethics and his morals. Although he loved Ramachandra more dear than his life, he was willing to give up the company of Lord Ramachandra if Lord Ramachandra sacrificed his principles, right? Many times we are willing to sacrifice our principles for relationships. But Bharat shows us how he was willing to sacrifice his relationships, not his principles. He asks his mother, what did he do? Did he kill a Brahmana to deserve such a kind of punishment? No. Kaikeyi says, he can't do nothing wrong. Actually, I asked 2 boons, and she tells him the 2 boons. Bharat was absolutely flabbergasted. It is said that he fell to the ground, and while telling him this, Kaikeyi was rubbing his head, right? He jumped away from his mother, as if he just touched fire and he just jumped away. Turns to the Dandaka forest, the direction of the Dandaka forest, and begs forgiveness from Lord Ramachandra with tears in his eyes. And he turned round to his mother. And like an animal let loose from chains, fire from his mouth, he begins blasting his mother left, right, and center. You've made me party to your sin. How dare you think that I can enjoy anything without Lord Ramachandra? Without Lord Ramachandra, I'm like a dead body without any soul. There's no use. It's like putting ornaments on a dead body. It's like putting a finger there, you chop off the finger and you leave it there. There's no use for such a finger. What would I do with a kingdom without Lord Ramachandra? And how dare you think that I can enjoy something without Lord Ramachandra? I don't want anything to do with you, lest I be party to this sin. You've wounded my body, and now, instead of giving me the gift of fame, as my mother, you've given me the gift of infamy, of being infamous. Why? Because I've sent my brother out of his kingdom. He just walks out of Mother Kaikeyi's palace, and he goes to Mother Kaushalya. Why? Because it's described that Mother Kaikeyi loved Lord Ramachandra more than Bharat. And Kaushalya Mata loved Bharat more than Lord Ramachandra. And he would get more love from Mother Kaushalya. So he expected that, I'll go to Mother Kaushalya and she'll comfort me. When he goes, Mother Kaushalya looks at him with absolute disgust. Why are you here? Before you sent my son away, you should have killed me, or at least sent me with my son. Bharat breaks down in tears. The one person who he expected would understand him didn't. And he makes a series of vows to prove his innocence to Mother Kaushalya. And eventually she understands that he is innocent. Bharat here teaches us how to confront criticism. Many times it's easy to get carried away when people criticize us. He asks himself 3 questions. Who is the criticism coming from? Right? Is it her habit to criticize? And why is she criticizing? That way he helped himself to deal with those criticisms from Mother Kaushalya. Right? So whenever someone criticizes us, we can ask ourselves these 3 questions. Bharat then performs the last rites of Dashrath Maharaj. And even more so, what is even more sad? Bharat had to live with this fact for the rest of his life. Dashrath Maharaj said something really hurtful before he passed. He said, if this son of mine, Bharat, has anything to do with this plot, I don't want his nasty hands to do my last rites. You imagine that's the last thought your father has of you before he dies. And you have no way of reconciling it. None. Put yourself in Bharat's shoes. So he goes to sleep that night and he wakes up the next morning. Kings are usually woken up by music, right, in the morning. Beautiful music. Vashishta tests him like this. Vashishta orders the musicians to go and wake him with music. Because while sleeping, we're vulnerable. Maybe he was putting on an act, right, when he was awake. But now that he's sleeping, when I just wake him, sometimes when people wake me, I can't boot up. Like sometimes my father wakes me and he tells me something, I don't register a thing. Right? I have to wait like an hour, like half an hour after to boot up properly, and then I'll ask him, what did he tell me again? I can't remember. Nothing. So many times in sleep, we are unconscious. So Vashishta sends the musicians there to wake Bharat. Bharat wakes up blocking his ears like this. He says, "Stop! I'm no king. Just get away from here. I'm no king. I'm an offender." Shows his inner mood. Many times it's hard to deal with subconscious desires in our heart. Bharat shows us how to deal with them, with being alert. Vashishta then tests him again, starts to praise him and says, "You are fit to be the king because you don't want it." Bharat breaks down. He says when he hears this, when he heard the Vashishta praising him and offering the kingdom, his body convulsed as if he was asked to drink poison. Instead, he goes to the paraphernalia or the things that were meant to coronate him, and he offers respects, circumambulates him, and says that all I possess is useless without Lord Ramachandra. Instead, this kingdom is his property, and I'll bring him back and put him here. And instead, if I have to go and live in the forest in his place, I'll go there and take his place. Let him come and be the king. Vashishta and all the ministers were moved to tears. And here again, Valmiki Muni uses a wonderful word to describe Bharat. Mahabala means most powerful or most courageous, because it is not easy to reject happiness and wealth when we get it in such forms, right? But Bharat didn't have any desire for anything like this. So he decides to go to Chitrakoot, where Lord Ramachandra was staying, and bring him back. And while there, they build a wonderful road to go there, and on the way he reaches Guha, who is Lord Ramachandra's friend, and then they go there to bring Lord Ramachandra back. But when he reaches Guha, Guha is actually a low-caste forest dweller. This is another proof that Lord Ramachandra has nothing to do with caste and creed and all of these things. He embraces Guha, Lord Ramachandra, and considers him his fifth brother. That is the level of respect that he gives Guha. When Guha saw Bharat coming with the entire Ayodhya, along with the entire army, he had doubts. He said, "This guy is going to kill Ram. And if I have to die to protect my Lord Ramachandra, my friend, I will die." And he goes with all of his soldiers, and he tells them, "Hide here, I'll go and test his mood force." And he goes. The first look at Bharat, one look at Bharat, and he knew that he had no ill intentions. Bharat resembled, it is said that Bharat resembled Lord Ramachandra to the T. Why? Because he was constantly meditating on him. Many times we see like husband and wife, they're together for many years, and when they get old, like they start resembling each other, right? Because of the love they share. Similarly, even later on in the Ramayana, it is said when Hanuman saw Sita, she resembled Lord Ramachandra because for 1 year she was continuously meditating on him. Guha is absolutely melted. When he then begins to glorify Bharat as the king. "We are just your subjects. Please instruct us how we can help you to reach Ram," and all of these things. Bharat says, "I am no king. I am no king. I am simply the servant of Lord Ramachandra. He is like my father." And he begins to express absolute self-disgust for people to keep telling him like this. Many times when we get blamed and we get praised, we don't know how to deal with it. Bharat shows us how to deal with it. With absolute, he just ignored them. He didn't have anything to do with them. And so the pastime continues. It's a really wonderful description. But it's now it's precisely 12 o'clock. And we have to stop here. If there are any questions, you can ask or anything like this. The next part of the pastime is really wonderful. We hope that we could have discussed it, but maybe we can do so at a later date. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments? So in place, please forgive me. I just really wanted to say this part. I know I already asked the end. I beg your permission to please just say the last part of the pastime. We'll just do a quick, just 2 minutes, 3 minutes of it. I'll time myself. Bharat goes to Lord Ramachandra. And he said when he approached Lord Ramachandra, he ran to Lord Ramachandra's feet and fell at his feet with such force that everyone flinched. as if his body parts would break. Right? And he begs Lord Ramachandra. And there's a wonderful description, which we won't get into, how they debated whether he should come back. Bharat was fighting, you should come back. His fight was a fight of love. Lord Ramachandra was saying, no, I have to fulfill my duty and our father's promise. So his fight was a fight of responsibility. So there's a beautiful fight of love and responsibility. And Lord Ramachandra finds out that his father has died. He breaks down in tears and he offers respects to his father. Bharat comes up with an amazing thing. Everyone tells him, if you love Lord Ramachandra, then you can't win him, he won't come back. So all you can do to please him, abide by what he wants. So ask him what he wants. This is actually the meaning of bhakti. Bhakti means ahoitiki and apratihata, unmotivated and uninterrupted. The meaning of bhakti means anukulyena krishnanushilanam, that which God wants. We do what God wants in love. That is what Bharat symbolizes here. He offers himself. He says, I might not like what you're going to tell me to do, but just tell me. I'll follow whatever you want me to do. Ram accepts the kingdom from Bharat. And he says, you rule on my behalf for the next 14 years. Now Bharat could have gone back and enjoyed the kingdom, right? And this is what we would have done, right? First of all, we wouldn't even think to go to the forest. But at least if this point comes, he'll say, man, I'll go back and enjoy the kingdom for 14 years. We get 14 years, we laugh and enjoy. Right? No. Bharat, it shows his internal mood and the level of his thinking and surrender to the lotus feet of Lord Ramachandra. Do you know what he does? He asks Lord Ramachandra, I am no king. I am simply your child. I have no good sense. I can simply do service unto your lotus feet. And so, please give me your slippers. They will rule. I will simply be their servants. So he takes the slippers of Lord Ramachandra and he returns back to Ayodhya. And he makes a vow. Actually, he never returned to Ayodhya. He makes a vow that I'll never enter into Ayodhya until you come back. If you take one day longer than 14 years, I'll kill myself. Right? He goes back to a village called Nandigram and vows to never take any pleasures of any kingly pleasures, and he lives like an ascetic. Renounces everything, to the extent that he says, my Lord is sleeping on the ground. I'm not qualified. I'm such a sinner, right? I'm not qualified to sleep on the same level as him. So he digs a hole. And there's where he slept for 14 years. He installed the slippers of Lord Ramachandra on a throne, and he would manage all of the affairs of the kingdom from the village on the outskirts of Ayodhya in Nandigram. Every report he would read, he would report to the slippers of Lord Ramachandra as if he would to Lord Ramachandra, and every order he would sign on behalf of Lord Ramachandra's slipper. And it is said that he did this so wonderfully that Ayodhya, during that 14 years, expanded 10 times larger than it was before, when Dashrath Maharaj gave them. It expanded, and the citizens didn't experience one bit of displeasure. They were absolutely taken care for, and prosperity reigned. So like this, we can pray to Lord Ramachandra and Bharat Maharaj to please bless us with this mood of service, this level of surrender at the Lord's lotus feet. Excuse me. Thank you very much. I took 4 minutes. My apologies for taking 1 more minute. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. If I said anything wrong, please forgive me. And if you like, you can correct me. So we can all now stand for the beautiful Aartik ceremony of Shri Shri Paramakarunitai Gaurachandra.
Hare Krishna. Jaya Paramakaruna Jaya Nitai Gaurachandra Jaya Paramakaruna Jaya Nitai Gaurachandra Jaya Shri Shri Paramakarunitai Gaurachandra Ki Jaya.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashtatya Satarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda. Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda. Jaya Nitai Gaura Chandra. Jaya Nitai Gaura Chandra. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Gaura Haribo.
Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Gaura Haribo.
Raghupati Raghav Raja Ram Patita Pavana Sitaram. Shri रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम।
ओ रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम।
जय सीताराम 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 जय सीताराम।
सीताराम 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 जय सीताराम।
जय सीताराम 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 जय सीताराम।
ओ सीताराम 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 जय सीताराम।
श्री रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम। रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम। जय सीताराम 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 जय सीताराम। जय सीताराम 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 जय सीताराम। सीताराम 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 सीताराम। जय जय सीताराम जय जय सीताराम। जय जय सीताराम जय जय सीताराम। जय सीताराम जय जय सीताराम। जय जय सीताराम जय जय सीताराम। जय जय सीताराम जय जय सीताराम। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Everybody please clap your hands, please chorus, please sing.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, hey, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, hey.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Oh, Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Hariharaya Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Hariharaya Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Yadavaya Madhavaya Kesavaya Namaha Yadavaya Madhavaya Kesavaya Namaha Gopa Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan Shri Gopa Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan Hare Gopinath Madana Mohan Hare Gopinath Madana Mohan
Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita Hare Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita Hare Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita Shri Rup Shri Sanatan Bhata Raghunath Shri Rupa Shri Sanatan Bhata Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal दास रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्ट दास रघुनाथ
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Everybody, together, loudly. Everybody, please sing. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Parama Karunanita Gaurachandra, Parama Karunanita Gaurachandra. Jaya Sitaram, 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 Jaya Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gora Hari Bol.
Shri Paramakartai Gaur Chandra Ki Jai. Jam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajagacharya Shtatar Sada Shishimad. His Divine Grace Sisi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Vibhuti Phongnaracharya. His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajagacharya Shtatar Sada Shishimad. His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Thakur Ki Jai. Antakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। श्री मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। श्री पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। श्री नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय। श्री अयोध्या धाम की जय। गंगामाय जमुनामाय की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। श्रीमती तुलसीदेव महारानी की जय। श्री योगदार हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। श्री प्रभुपाद ट्रांसेंडेंटल बुक्स डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की जय। बृहत मृदंग की जय। श्री पारमाकांताय गौरचंद्र की जय। श्री श्री राम सीता लक्ष्मण हनुमान की जय। श्री रामनवमी सेलिब्रेशन की जय। सामवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। All glories to the assembly of devotees, all glories to the assembly of devotees, all glories to the assembly of devotees, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shanyavari Paschacharishtarini. Namaste Narashinghaya. Namaste Narashinghaya. Pralada Lada Daini. Hiranyakashipurvakshaha. Shilatanka Nakhalaye. ito nrsimha parato nrsimha yato yato yami tato nrsimha bahe nrsimha hridaye nrsimha Narasimhamadim sharanam prapadye O tava kara kamalavare nakha adbhuta shringa dalita hiranyakashipu tano vringa keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Navakara Kamalavare Kashipu Tano Vringa Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha O Vitarasi Dikshurane Dikpati Kamaniyam Dashamukamauli Valim Ramaniyam Keshavadrita Rama Sharira Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare O Keshavadrita Rama Sharira Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Nrsimhadev Jaya Nrsimhadev Nrsimhadev Jaya Nrsimhadev Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Rama Nrsimha Jaya Rama Nrsimha Rama Nrsimha Jaya Rama Nrsimha Jaya Jaya Raj Jaya Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Shri Sitaram Jaya Ram Jaya Sitaram 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 Jaya Sitaram Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Shri Nrsimha Bhagavan ki jai Prahlad Maharaj ki jai